Bitcoin, January 22, 2021. What the heck is going on with Bitcoin? Big drop down. And then it came right back up. Yeah, okay, let's get a little bit more specific with these. What has been going on since here? I guess we have a new resistance. So we're going back to the 4th of January to find what the last lows were. Back in, 28,000, which is not far off from the 29 something thousand. Did it get down into 28,000 at the very bottom of that wick? Okay, that dips down into the volume, that wick. So it did get below 29,000. That is dropping down quite low. So let's maybe take a look from these last significant bottoms, January 11th. And yeah, I'm trying to find a channel based on these two bottoms, this one and this one. So we broke well under that, but it makes me feel like we're sort of looking at what's happening with this channel here. On an RSI, we're coming up. Yeah, this is really the point where things get interesting. Again, some of the most relevant information on Bitcoin in terms of good places to get in are based on this RSI. You look at the 11th, where I started this bottom here, where it adds a spot for where we start to come back up from, right? The resistance level from which we gain upward momentum. Not only immediately, then things will come back down and then back up, but what we're talking about is sort of the start of that established trend. So we could take different lines here depending on how much we want to be optimistic or pessimistic about our channels. So this one is using the bottoms, these points. So it's sort of like a conservative. Yeah, so the fact that we're coming outside here, we're not moving up within this channel, continuing the momentum that we started when it started going up. We've lost that momentum, and now we are outside of this triangle, making me wonder if things sort of move more to the downside from that. But that's a bit of a zoomed in perspective. So let's maybe back up to a weekly chart. The momentum starting to slow down a little bit. And we are coming up out of this euphorically high RSI, coming back down. So will we see this RSI stay in this upper half of the reasonable area of the RSI? Then the more we move out of this, the more by this point you're in euphoria. You're past the optimism of this section here, you're into a euphoria and you're bound to see things come back down if you spend enough time in this territory. So we do see that losing a little bit of momentum. So we'll go to the daily chart. On the daily chart, we've had this crossover since the 12th going down, and the RSI going down, and also this downward price action is all very much in agreement with this crossover we had here. It's a tricky one because you have this fake out here and then a recross. Well, I guess it's almost a fake out because it did not recross. So I shouldn't say that it's a recross, but it was moving in the direction of a recross so much that it was almost a fake out. It wasn't a technical fake out because it didn't make that cross. But if you were getting ahead of yourself, you could have got tricked by that one. But the cross did happen here at the 12th and has been on a downward trend since that point on the daily chart. So daily chart is interesting to keep our eyes on, especially when weekly has been coming up this high. It's hard to gauge if there's going to be a crossover going down on the weekly without having a sense of what's going on that daily chart. So we will have to continue to watch that and see where things go. Maybe zoom into the 2-hour chart. It is coming up on the crossover that took place on, well, January 22nd, 2 p.m. This, well, relative to 1600. So they'll cross over those 4 hours ago. Correlating with upward movement on the RSI and sort of balancing back out. Not any major information, but on the 5-minute chart, I do start to like how far down we are on the RSI on that 5-minute chart. So getting not even that far below was the cause for a jump back up here. Yeah, having crossed over on this 5-minute chart quite some time ago, and it's really interesting to see how the momentum has expanded and contracted these gap between these lines between the derivative oscillator and the price percent oscillator. It's hard to imagine things getting too much past this downward on the RSI. So on 5-minute, at least on the 5-minute chart, I would be expecting some moves back up, at least at this sort of range in between 30 to 800 and this zone up here. So this would actually be an interesting opportunity if you're looking at the 5-minute chart, how long we've been going down on here. If you want to put everything in right at that moment, I don't know if that's what I would be doing, but you could slowly dollar cost average in with some logic on that 5-minute chart. And you start to see it come back up green a little bit. That RSI wants to recover. We'll see. I want to go just one chart, one macro level. Oh. Going down on this MACD on the 15-minute chart. I'm trying to get a sense of how, when it goes down and when it goes up, how long that tends to take and how much you sort of could gain or lose in terms of risk managing particular entry and exit points. But seeing that we are coming on the negative side of this triangle here, so I'm seeing more resistance levels actually right here for this chart. So I'm going to zoom way out because I want to shorten this. Bring it back into this reasonable level. Go back to the 15-minute chart. And just so pair this bottom here with these resistance levels. Yeah, basically, even this has been a resistance, and then here and here again. So I'll use the very bottom of that, but still, well, looks like it's breaking past that, and it will need a real turnaround in momentum to come out of that. Yeah, I see there's this candle starting to form right here. That's definitely on the negative side of that candle. Let's jump to the 5-minute really quick here to see where we're at with that RSI. I mean, the further down you get on the RSI, the more you would expect to start to see a return back to the upside. And on this 5-minute chart, we are at the very bottom of that reasonable RSI level. Just in terms of the sort of news aspects that could be pushing this, we got really low down here with the Yellen comments around Bitcoin that were negative, and then relative to today, there was the clarification that was a more positive comment from U.S. administration on new administration on Bitcoin. So that clarification was more positive than the previous Yellen comments. So just sort of on a news level, you would imagine that there is less cause for that fear, uncertainty, doubt. Yeah, things are really breaking down to the negative side. I'm liking trades on the 5-minute chart though. I don't imagine things can go way down on this RSI. Just gets down about this low. So here's a bottom of an RSI here, and then there was a small return. So if you're looking at just getting in here at this 30,000, and if you could get out before the 32,000, so if you're at 30,000, you come up for 1,000, which is only half of this little jump up. If you were to have done that, then could have jumped back out on that 5-minute chart. And what other sort of tells would there have been for that? So we do have this crossover going up here. And then at this point, January 21st, 1355, you have that crossover on the MACD telling you get out. So you got out there. Then things start getting interesting here where the RSI is so low. Things move up here, but it doesn't last too long. It comes back down to this very bottom level again. And then when it gets that low, let's just look at every time it gets low, what happens. There it starts to bounce back. Here, it bounced back just a little bit. So only if you were patient, you could get away with that. But you did have this crossover right here to tell you that upward movement might not be continuing on this chart. RSI bottoms here again. So sometimes it can test those bottom ranges a couple times before it really gets out of it. Okay, that's my alarm clock, so I'll stop the video.